And with development work, we were pretty scared to outsource it overseas. Prior to working with InvoZone, and we had an American development company. And the truth of it was that the service that they provided wasn't anything close. It wasn't any better or worse than what you could get somewhere else, but we were paying 4 times more for it because it was in the United States. I think in the United States, there's a general fear of outsourcing work overseas. The I think Americans, we think that items that are either made in China or when you outsource work to, say, India or Pakistan, that for some reason you're getting a lower quality work because it wasn't done in America. And that's obviously just not true. E-commerce isn't going away, but e-commerce, I think, will become a lot more difficult, especially for smaller businesses.
Hello, listeners and viewers. Thank you for tuning in. We are InvoTalks, a podcast which talks about new technologies, budding startups, and this is episode number 38. Nael Shahbaz here, head of marketing at InvoZone, the software and web app development company. And today, the podcast is super special for us as I have Ryan with me. Ryan, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Absolutely. My name is Ryan Carter. I'm one of the owners and operators of ShieldRepublic.com. Within Shield Republic and our business, we have a few e-commerce sites that we own and operate. We also do outsourcing for other clients in the wheelhouse of drop shipping and print on demand.
Perfect. Thank you so much. In this episode, we are exploring the e-commerce market. We would like to know more about Ryan's views on it, the trends and what the future holds, how brands now find themselves up against global competitors, some predictions for this year that branding is going to be important than anything else. So let's start. Ryan, you have extensive experience in startup and technology in e-commerce. So would like to know, how did you discover this whole journey?
My story is a little unconventional. I came from a science background. So prior to e-commerce, I worked in pharmaceutical research for 4 to 5 years. I had really lost my passion in science and wanted to do something sales and marketing focused, and got the chance to go on with a local marketing company. That's where I met my current business partner, Barrett. Barrett is the founder of Shield Republic, and Barrett hired me on to do some paid media for him. As the business grew, our relationship grew, and Shield Republic got off and running. I started working with Shield Republic in 2017, and in 2019 bought into the company, and Barrett made me a partner. And since then, it's been sort of wild. We've taken the things that we've done for Shield Republic and implemented them for some other websites. During COVID, we opened up our own website, and now we've got a nice core marketing company that we can own and operate, and now provide our service to other people just like us.
How long did you got cut off from the pharmaceutical business? Like, did you completely cut off and transition into like e-commerce? Or you were like, while working for the pharmaceutical, you were like, okay, I'm thinking about something else. So how did you make?
Yeah, I was working for a startup pharmaceutical company, and we were bought out by AstraZeneca. And so I had a little severance package from AstraZeneca, and it was pretty much within a week. I had talked to the guy who owns the marketing company I went to work for. I said that I wanted to leave. I put in my 2-week resignation, and it was funny because we were now going under the AstraZeneca umbrella, which a lot of people, it's a well-known name and a great company. And I told them I was leaving to sell t-shirts online, and they thought it was
Great.
Well, good luck. Let us know if you want to come back anytime. So I'm proud that we stuck it out this long.
What did your friends think about it, that decision? Were they supportive?
I think a lot of people, they didn't understand what I was going to do, and I really didn't understand either. It changed a lot over the course of time. But for me, it was more of just I wanted something else. I didn't think that I never thought when I left pharmaceuticals that I would be in e-commerce 6 years later. I just thought it was a stepping stone to something else, but I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the aspects of e-commerce of being able to work remotely, and then the thrills of the sales, and then now managing the actual business and the people behind it. It's been a great experience for me, and I'm really happy that I landed in e-commerce.
Were you like personally emotionally invested in Shielded Bug? Because I've seen the website. I mean, we kind of work together, so I've seen it's very uh, I don't know which word to say. It's very sentimental. It has sentimental attachment. So it's not just a t-shirt. So you are selling those slogans and messages. So are you personally
Yeah,
invested in those, or is it just business?
it's absolutely a personal investment. Over over the course of time, we've had the opportunity to basically make money in selling products that we may not agree on. Luckily for us, Shield has been it is a passion project because it started based off of our support for America and pro patriotism and Second Amendment, those sorts of things. And it's part of our livelihood. Um, for your American viewers, we're in the southeastern part of the country. So we're based in Eastern North Carolina. It is very much a red area, pro gun, pro America. So it's part of what we love to do, and we've been fortunate that something we love and believe in can be successful and also be a great business for us. Um, it has made us, with the brand that we've developed with Shield Republic, we have to be careful of other things that we dabble in. So we also have our brand Ivy and Cloth, which is a female oriented brand and doesn't have the strong political tones that Shield Republic does. But within that brand itself, we still stay true to who we are as a business. So we didn't open up the polar opposite of Shield Republic that says the opposite sayings and meanings behind things. We just tried to offer something for a larger company customer base that still stays within our core beliefs.
Did you do a lot of market research for the Shield Republic, or was it a hunch that this is going to sell, this is going to be successful?
Um, we were in business for about 2 years before we really saw any sort of success. So the brand started in 2016, which sort of piggybacked off of during that time was when Donald Trump was going into office, and people, especially Republicans, were really proud to be Republicans. Um, Even though that was part of the Donald Trump era, we didn't see a lot of success with it until about 2018 to 2019. And yeah, we had to venture outside the box, sort of find the niche within the niche that we were in for what people actually wanted to buy, and then begin to learn ourselves of what sort of designs and what sort of sayings and more about our customer base. So it wasn't so much market research on the product, but more learning about our people, and specifically the people that we reach on social media platforms.
If you don't mind, you can completely skip this question. Would you like to share some numbers, like how much investment did you initially put in, and how much revenue is it generating? What the first year, second year, the trajectory, the projection? So, would you like to share any numbers?
It's we were really fortunate with Shield that Barrett and I, as Shield started to grow, we weren't relying on it as a source of income. So Shield Republic operated for probably 2 years without any sort of nominal take-home pay or anything. It essentially was self-sustaining so that it could uh, support its own staff for graphic design or support the development work that was needed in it. And we didn't really start taking a paycheck from the brand until about mid 2019. So you could say 2.5 years of full investment, not taking home profitable dollars from the business and letting it sort of build its foundation. And dollar wise, I couldn't even tell you how much money that is, but you're talking a full-time graphic designer, full-time customer service for 2 to 3 years, and not to mention all the apps and subscriptions that go into that.
Yeah. All right. I've read at multiple places that branding should be the utmost priority this year for various businesses. Do you agree with that? That branding should be the focus?
Um, no, like I think the term branding gets misused a lot in e-commerce, or maybe not misused, but overused and oversimplified.
How would you define what is a brand to you?
I guess I was thinking about this when you were asking the question. It's one of those trigger words that people like to talk about, but what it means to me or means to you might be different.
Yes.
Yeah, it's sort of your reputation, right? Um, your initial branding that may come across to a new customer might be, the look of your website and the colors and the vibe that you give off. But now I think as you see the most successful companies with branding, one of the ones I like to think of is Yeti. So the Yeti tumblers, they've branded their company as being this super premium product that people are willing to pay, $30 or $40 for a simple mug, or, $300 for a cooler. And all of these items are manufactured basically in the same sorts of areas or the same warehouses as a product that sells for a third of the price. Yeti has done well with their branding, that they've established themselves as being a premium product and a reliable product. So even though it may be manufactured as somewhere, the same place as somewhere cheaper, people trust the name that they're going to get a premium product that's going to function and maintain its value, so to say. So when I think of branding for our own brands, there's nothing that we do as a company that's all that special. There's the ability to rip our products off, print the same sorts of designs that we do, but our branding is our reputation within the business, that we do good business with our customers, that you can trust us. And so to say your focus is on branding, that's a really big thing to accomplish. To build up your reputation takes a lot of small little pieces that go into a larger piece of the puzzle.
By the way, do you have a censor board in Czech Republic says, well, that message is way too much. We're not going to use that on a t-shirt. Do you have that, like a filter?
Oh, for our designs?
Yeah.
No. We joke about the big walls of text on designs. You're always going to sell to a different demographic. So there's plenty of times where we make a product and we know that maybe this is going for our men who are 50 years old and older. It's a large wall of text. It's a funny sort of meme style design, where our younger guys, it might be something a little more trendy. So we put it all out there. We try all the designs. Every now and then we'll get one wrong, but most of the filtering that we do is to make sure that we stay true to who we are, and that we don't put something out there for the sake of a quick dollar that's going to jeopardize our reputation.
I see. So coming back to the original question, say focus shouldn't be on branding. What should be the focus on? Considering like this is post-COVID, this is like the I don't know if it's a new normal 2.0 or whatever. So what should businesses and startups focus on?
Some of the things that we focus on, has been a big focus for us over the last 6 months, is getting our business back to a point of being more maneuverable and holding less inventory, less out-of-pocket expenses, more outsourcing, and sort of preparing for what could or couldn't be a really bumpy next few years. Obviously, e-commerce isn't going away, but e-commerce, I think, will become a lot more difficult, especially for smaller businesses. So I think it's significantly harder now to start a new e-commerce business than it was 6 or 7 years ago. Um, and yeah, I most of the problems that are coming from COVID, when I think of upcoming struggles that I can see for our business, I still think supply chain issues will be huge for us in the next 2 years. And
And why is that?
uh, I think that COVID was pretty unsettling because we realized how easy our supply chain disruption could happen and how it doesn't take, we sell t-shirts and we print t-shirts, right? So within the t-shirt itself, there's always manufacturers of multiple t-shirts. And so getting a blank apparel item from Mexico or Bangladesh or China, you have different outlets, right? But what we've seen is there's sort of everything boils down to a bottleneck of maybe the inks that we use have some sort of metal that comes from a specific place, and all of a sudden there's no inks at all. So it's or at least the manufacturer that we work with doesn't have access to the ink itself. So one little thing could really cause massive disruptions. And then I listened to a podcast this morning on the way to work that was talking about the conflicts in China and Russia. And it just seems like, given what COVID was able to do to disrupting our supply chain, if you go into a World War III scenario, it's going to get a lot worse.
Did they mention a timeline for that?
No, I don't know. I'm just thinking of stuff that impacts our business. And COVID and the China supply chain was rough on us for 2 years. So I'm hoping that we can avoid that at all costs.
Okay, good luck. All right. This is like the meat of the podcast. I want to talk about the Result Optimized International ROI website. For our audience, would you like to tell what this is? What is this project?
Yeah. So, like I said, Shield Republic started in 2016. We started really finding success in 2019. In 2020, we started another venture, which was ivyandcloth.com. Around that same time is when we started the shell company for ROI, which houses Ivy and Cloth. And we began seeing that there was an opening for us to do the same service we do for Shield Republic and Ivy and do it for other customers. So around that time in 2019, 2020 is when we started doing outsourcing work. We had some great connections in the industry early on. And so that was sort of the start for us. And now it's developed into a sort of white glove service of everything from marketing to drop shipping, some part website development and optimization. For the right client, we sort of piece together a package that has everything they need.
Actually, I'm glad you mentioned the outsourcing thing. Many tech businesses and companies have concerns in hiring offshore developers and agencies. Time zone differences, language barriers, and you've been working with us. Please tell us what your experience has been so far and how did you overcome these fears? Obviously, you had these before looking for outsourcing.
Yeah. I think we've been working with InvoZone for at least 2 years now. Because I know we had a 2-year contract and it was recently up. I think in the United States, there's a general fear of outsourcing work overseas. I think Americans, we think that items that are either made in China or when you outsource work to, say, India or Pakistan, that for some reason you're getting a lower quality work because it wasn't done in America. And that's obviously just not true. We've had a great experience outsourcing our customer service work, basically since inception. We have non-full-time virtual workers who are based in the Philippines, and that's been our customer service girls for ever, and they're great. And then with development work, we were pretty scared to outsource it overseas. Prior to working with InvoZone, and we had an American development company. And the truth of it was that the service that they provided wasn't anything close. It wasn't any better or worse than what you could get somewhere else, but we were paying 4 times more for it because it was in the United States. And it just became way too big of an expense for us to ignore. Since going with InvoZone, and we were pleasantly surprised that our service didn't take a step back, that the service y'all have provided has been great. Obviously, I'll just speak from the American side, people overseas have all the access to the same tools that people in the United States do. And in a lot of cases with what we've seen with working in India and Pakistan is that the general population there is much more knowledgeable on website code and development and specific parts of the business. And it's been great. The time zone is a little funky to work with and might slow you up a little bit, but for the saved resources and money, I wouldn't hire domestically right now.
I see. Thank you so much for the kind words. We together have been working for Ivy and Cloth and Sheet Republic, both amazing platforms. You can check them out. The links will be in the description. This is for our audience. Just before wrapping up, just want to ask you, why did you choose InvoZone? Why this company?
It was I believe we found y'all through Upworks, and we were still nervous about leaving our American brand, and it was after a few rounds of interviews with InvoZone and a couple others that we started to feel a lot better about the abilities that we were going to get from overseas help. And I think in our initial discussions and for our first 30 days of work, what we saw was that the team was responsive, easy to work with, and obviously the pricing was fair. And mostly just the comprehensive knowledge. We do most everything on Shopify, but to be able to find a company that can do the website development, help us with the app development, and some of the API inserts and things that we needed. It was a good package for us. And then we're firm believers that if it's not broke, don't fix it. And we've had no issues. So we have no reason to not work with you guys.
All right. Thanks again. Before I leave you, we get this query a lot, and probably you were expecting this. How generative AI, the chat GPT and the buzz around the 2023, how is it going to impact marketing? And I mean, I'm going to go back again to branding, because we're focusing on branding. I mean, obviously you disagree, but still, it's a huge part of doing business. How do you think AI will impact these things?
Well, it's showing up everywhere, right? Shopify just made a little plugin for writing product descriptions, and it's super fun to mess with. I know we're just getting into the AI conversation, right? Probably this first little bit will be really exciting because we're already seeing it with being able to plug into writing ad copy or writing an About Us page for a website or a social post. All of that stuff is super useful. I do worry that people are going to misuse it for rip-offs and exploiting others for a long period of time. It just seems like as soon as these chatbots get to the point that they can fool 50% of the population or more, and especially like the elderly population who might not be as in tune with it, you'll see like the bad actors come out and really see the misuse for it. And hopefully we get past that quick enough that we then see all the positives that'll come later down the line,
Yeah. I talked to my team. They expect using AI tools. They expect they're just going to push a button and it's going to do the work for you. And I tell them it's a tool. You have to learn how to use it. So don't expect miracles. You still have to know how to utilize AI. I
Right.
think there's a learning curve, and a lot of people are not really talking about that. They're expecting just, uh, like everything is just going to be automated. But I think just like with any other tool, this is also a tool. This is what I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And really it's nothing, the chatbots that I've worked or I've just seen, it's not really doing anything new. It's just replicating something that should be there, you know? So I think to me, what's more fascinating is dialing in that like sort of predictive analytics behind it of how it decides which word should come next in a sentence. And it just seems like there's probably a lot of industries within the United States that could benefit from having a computer make decisions rather than having an emotional person, between uh, financials or the medical industry or these different areas that I think that's the real superpower in it is weeding out the emotional aspect of humans
Yeah.
and just getting the raw information.
Plus, there's the decision fatigue. You can only make a certain number of decisions in a given day because
Right.
eventually you're going to be tired making those decisions. So probably if a bot can
Yeah.
do it, so why not?
Yeah. I listened to one podcast and the guy talked about if a if an AI version of an American president would do better than a current sitting American president. And you have to think that, if you're dealing with a software that has all of the information that's ever come about in every scenario that a president has ever been in and has to make a predictive estimate of what's going to happen next, it would do better than the average person, right? Just,
Yeah, I suppose so. But we're going to
yeah.
have to check. Let's see how that unfolds.
Yeah. But in the short term, it's going to help people. I think it'll free up some positions currently. So, if you're talking between in e-commerce with customer service or with writing product descriptions or ad copy or that sort of thing, it would take that person and either make them more productive in that position or free them up for something else. And, as the cost of living and the labor market goes up and margins get crunched down, people will start utilizing this more and more. And um, hopefully what it means is it frees us up to do something bigger and better and not just put somebody out of a job.
Yeah, I was about to say that. But when you free up the time, probably you can think better, do better things than the menial task that the AI is taking up. I mean, I'm not saying
Yeah.
menial task, but uh, a lot of the things that they expect that AI is going to take over, steal the jobs. So probably those people can do better things. People who can utilize those tools better, they're going to be they're going to be ahead of the competition. So there's a learning curve. Um, I don't know, maybe they need to learn new skills.
People from like the industrial revolution of people thinking that their job would be replaced by a machine. And the great thing with people is we've always advanced past that. So hopefully we get to the point that we all just are capable of using it. And that's like our foundation of your minimum knowledge as a person is what you can get from the chatbots.
Yeah. Like in my marketing department, people started using AI to produce the content. And I tell them at the end of the day, you are going to judge whether it's being able to post. Is it good enough? Is the quality good enough? Even though a AI bot produced that, you still have to have the understanding to pass that, whether it's going to be on your website or the social media or anywhere. So I think still the human expertise will be needed to judge the output of the AI to a certain extent, of course.
Yeah. Well, sort of we're going on about the chatbots, but that is what I worry about with the bad actors in the world is when you get to a point that you're able to, let's say, produce a website so fast. You can write all of the copy in 30 minutes, and you plug in the images, and you can essentially rip off any sort of brand or niche that's out there. When it gets to the point that they are doing that so fast and so rapid and able to learn off of the good and bad information so quickly, that a single person could essentially pop up shops and do the replicate a brand overnight. And I mean, it wouldn't take a lot of information and just best practices for a company to be able to do something like that. We see it, the ripoffs hit us really hard because we're in the apparel and print on demand space. And we've seen companies over the last few years, the speed at which somebody's able to pop up a website, totally rip off a product catalog, put it live, get it advertised, make the sales, and disappear. These brands go from startup to cash out in just a matter of months. And then people like us with an established brand, we're stuck to deal with the customers who were dissatisfied with all of the ripoffs that they now don't trust our actual company,
How do you plan to cope that? I mean, I understand there must be certain fear in your mind as well, or the businesses in the United States. So the ripoffs that, immediately they're going to make a replica website. And so any mechanism you have in mind?
I think this circles back to that like branding and reputation. The service that we provide our customers isn't something that could just easily be ripped off. We have a massive warehouse. We carry inventory. We do a lot of product research to make sure our quality is top notch and our ship times are great. So it's not something that just any company or any guy sitting in his house could rip off what we do. Dealing with the rip-offs themselves, my business partner and I had the conversation yesterday about the new Twitter policy of basically buying in to get your official blue check mark. And it sounds like Facebook and Instagram are going to start that as well. I think stuff like that is going to help us separate ourselves. We as a business would obviously pay, $10 a month or whatever to verify our business account. It's a massive asset for us. So getting an insurance policy on it is not a big deal. But wouldn't see ripoffs overseas popping up 100 sites paying $10 a month to insure every one of those. So hopefully the new social media policy changes that are coming about with Elon taking over Twitter, that'll help some of it. And then again, I mean, you have to establish yourself as doing good business and being consistent, and let the other guys start up and cash out and leave, and we'll still be there.
All right. Thank you so much, Ryan, for your time. I have reached the end of my questions. Would you like to say anything to the audience before we close the show?
No, I appreciate you bringing me on. We don't do a lot of this, putting our faces out there. We own and operate Shield Republic and Ivy and Cloth, and those are our two babies. Outside of that, we don't have a lot of connections with the rest of the world, but I would like to thank you, Nael, for having me, and I hope that I was able to provide some sort of value for people and give you something to think on.
Pleasure is all mine. Yes, it has been productive. I learned a lot, honestly. So I'm going home with fresh ideas. I thank you once again, Ryan. So that's it, folks. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you next time.